The salvage crew aboard the Void Seeker had seen many derelict ships before, but nothing like this. The vessel drifted in the endless darkness of space, its massive frame barely visible against the void. It was ancient, its hull scarred with battle damage and time itself. Unlike most wrecks, this one wasn't completely lifeless. Weak energy signatures pulsed from deep within, like the dying heartbeat of something far older than humanity. Captain Daniel Hayes studied the ship through the Seeker's main viewport. His crew, 6 of the best scavengers in the Sol system, were already running scans, but the results made no sense. "Still no match in any database," said Mira Patel, the ship's tech specialist. Her voice held a mix of confusion and unease. "It's not from any known alien species." That alone sent a chill through the crew. Humanity had encountered many alien civilizations, but to find a ship that didn't belong to any of them, that was rare. And dangerous. "What about life signs?" Daniel asked. Mira hesitated. "None. At least none that I can confirm. But there's something. Movement, maybe. Could just be residual power fluctuations. Or something still alive in there," muttered Jonas Reed, the team's security expert. His hand rested near the pulse rifle strapped to his chest. Daniel exhaled slowly, staring at the wreck. Its design was unlike anything they had seen. It wasn't sleek or metallic like most ships. It had jagged edges, almost organic curves, as if it had been grown instead of built. Symbols, alien markings, lined its surface, glowing faintly in the dark. Something about it felt wrong. But a salvage was a salvage, and this one could be the greatest find of their lives. "Prepare for boarding," Daniel finally said. "Suit up. We're going in." The airlock hissed as it connected to the alien ship. A moment later, the docking tube extended, sealing them in. The Seeker's lights flickered as they transferred power into the wreck, forcing open an entrance. The moment they stepped inside, a deep silence swallowed them. The corridors were vast, lined with strange black material that seemed to shift under their flashlights. The air was stale, cold, too cold. The ship's gravity was weak but still present, another sign that something inside was still functioning. Mira's voice crackled over comms. "Atmosphere is thin but breathable. No toxins detected." "Still no signs of anything living?" Daniel asked. Mira checked her scanner. "Nothing definite. Just," she paused, "weird energy readings. It's like the ship is pulsing." Daniel and Jonas exchanged glances. Ships didn't pulse. The crew moved deeper, their footsteps muffled by the strange floor. Shadows danced along the walls, shifting unnaturally, as if something unseen moved just beyond their light. Then they found the first body. It was not human. The alien corpse was curled against the wall, its thin limbs twisted unnaturally. Its skin, if it was skin, had hardened into a stone-like shell, cracked as if something had burned it from the inside out. Jonas crouched, touching it lightly with his gloved hand. "Whatever did this," he muttered, "it wasn't a weapon." Mira shuddered. "Then what was it?" No one answered. They moved deeper into the ship, passing more bodies. All the same. Twisted, burned, frozen in silent agony. Yet, the ship's core still held power. That meant something had survived. And then they reached the control room. It was massive, filled with strange floating interfaces, half-dead screens blinking weakly with unreadable text. In the center of the room stood a dark structure, pulsing faintly. A power source. A reactor. Or something else. Mira moved forward cautiously, raising her scanner. This isn't just a ship," she whispered. "It's something more. It's alive." Before Daniel could respond, the ship shuddered. A deep mechanical hum vibrated through the walls, growing louder, as if the ship was awakening. Then, a new sound echoed through the corridors. A whisper. Not in their ears. Not through comms. It was inside their minds. Daniel's breath caught as a cold voice filled his thoughts. You should not have come." The moment those words echoed in their minds, the crew froze. Daniel's heart pounded as a deep chill crawled down his spine. It wasn't the ship's comms. It wasn't a recorded message. It was something alive. Jonas instinctively raised his rifle, his hands tightening around the grip. "Tell me you heard that." Mira's face was pale behind her helmet. "It wasn't sound," she whispered. "It was inside my head." Daniel took a slow breath, trying to push aside the wave of unease tightening around his chest. "We don't panic," he said, forcing his voice to stay steady. "We figure out what we're dealing with." But the ship shuddered again, this time more violently. The walls around them pulsed, as if responding to their presence. The strange dark material of the ship shifted slightly, like muscles contracting beneath their feet. Then the bodies they had passed earlier. They moved. Not by themselves. Something pulled them. A soft scraping sound filled the corridor behind them as the lifeless forms of the alien crew slid across the floor, vanishing into the ship's darkness. Mira let out a sharp breath. "Okay. That's..." A loud thud cut her off. The control room's center console lit up, symbols flashing violently. The pulse within the dark structure quickened, glowing a deep red. And the whisper returned. "Leave or be consumed." Jonas stepped forward, raising his rifle toward the console. "I don't know what this thing is, but we need to." The ship screamed. Not a voice, not a transmission. The entire ship itself let out a deep, vibrating wail. The walls rippled like something vast and ancient was trying to wake from a deep slumber. Then the air changed. It thickened, pressing down on them. The stale, cold atmosphere turned dense and heavy, like an unseen force was wrapping around their bodies. Mira gasped. "Gravity spike." "It's..." The floor beneath them shifted. Not like a normal ship. Not metal panels moving. It breathed. The realization hit Daniel like a sledgehammer. The ship isn't just alive. He swallowed hard. It's awake, and it was watching them. Before he could give the order to retreat, a sudden blast of energy erupted from the console. Mira was thrown backward, crashing against the wall. Sparks flew as her suit's visor cracked. Daniel rushed to her side. "Mira, talk to me." She groaned, clutching her head. I saw something." Jonas turned, still aiming at the pulsating structure. "Saw what?" Mira's eyes flickered with confusion. Then fear. "Not saw," she whispered. "It showed me." She pointed at the dark structure. The core. This ship wasn't abandoned. Her voice was barely audible now. It was caged. Daniel's stomach twisted. By who? Mira swallowed, her voice shaky. By something even the aliens were afraid of. The ship trembled again, and the whisper inside their minds grew louder. "Leave now, before I remember what I am." Daniel didn't waste a second. "We're leaving. Now." The walls pulsed, the deep red glow shifting into a sickly, throbbing yellow. The ship's whisper was no longer distant. It was inside them, clawing at their thoughts. Jonas grabbed Mira's arm, pulling her up as she staggered. "Whatever's talking to us, I don't think it's bluffing." Daniel led the way, pushing through the dark corridors, but with each step, the ship changed. The once abandoned halls shifted, closing behind them, forcing them deeper instead of letting them out. "It's moving," Mira gasped. "It doesn't want us to leave." Jonas cursed under his breath. That's the second time today a death trap decided it wanted to keep us. The ship trembled violently, and a low, guttural sound echoed through the corridors. It wasn't a warning. It was laughter. Daniel gritted his teeth. If this thing thinks we're playing along, it's about to learn what humans do when backed into a corner. He tapped his wrist console, sending a silent signal to the Harbinger, their own ship waiting outside. "Tessa, respond." Only static answered. Mira checked her own comms. No signal. The ship's blocking everything. Jonas exhaled sharply. "That's it. We're making our own exit." He pulled a small breaching charge from his pack and slapped it onto the nearest bulkhead. Step back. The device blinked red. Then, nothing. Daniel felt a sinking realization as he looked at the pulsing walls around them. Jonas, I don't think explosives will work here. The ship whispered again. No more tricks. No more games. You will listen. The floor rippled, and suddenly, they were falling. Not down, not up, just falling. The darkness devoured them. And when they hit the ground, they weren't in a corridor anymore. They were in a chamber. A massive cathedral-like space, walls stretching far beyond where their helmet lights could reach. The air was thick, charged with an energy that made their hair stand on end. Then they saw it. A shape in the center, suspended in a web of glowing tendrils. A massive alien body hung in place, its limbs twitching as if caught between life and death. Mira's breath hitched. That's the captain, the alien we saw in the logs. Jonas stepped forward cautiously. You sure? I saw it, she whispered, when the ship showed me. The alien's head jerked, its sunken eyes snapping open. And it spoke. Not with sound, with their minds. You should not have come. Daniel's hands clenched into fists. What happened to your crew? The alien's head lolled, pain and something worse, acceptance, written across its ruined features. We tried to use it, to control it. The walls shuddered. The ship itself seemed to react to its words. But this was never a ship. It was never ours. We did not build it. We only woke it up. Daniel's stomach twisted. Then what is it? The alien's gaze locked onto his. A prisoner. Jonas inhaled sharply. A prisoner of what? The tendrils around the alien tightened, and it let out a silent scream. The ship's voice roared in their minds. Enough. A new door opened behind them. A way out. Daniel didn't hesitate. Move. They ran, the ship screaming behind them, walls pulsing, the gravity shifting with every step. Whatever they had uncovered, it was angry, and it was done playing. As they reached the corridor leading back to their shuttle, the alien's final words echoed in Daniel's mind. It does not forgive. It does not forget. And now, it knows you. You said. Daniel barely heard Tessa's frantic voice over the comms. His heart pounded as the corridor twisted, walls stretching and narrowing like a throat closing in. The ship was no longer toying with them. It wanted them gone, or worse, kept. Mira gasped, clutching the side of her head. It's trying to get inside my mind. Jonas grabbed her arm, pulling her forward. Don't listen. Keep moving. The whisper wasn't just sound anymore. It was inside them, threading through their thoughts like a parasite. Images flashed in their minds. Burning stars, screaming voices, entire civilizations swallowed whole. Daniel clenched his teeth. Whatever this thing is, it's seen everything. And it's not just a prisoner. His voice dropped as the realization hit. It's a weapon. Jonas swore under his breath. And now it knows us. The corridor snapped shut behind them, cutting off their only way back. The ship wasn't letting them escape. Then, without warning, light. A blinding pulse erupted from Mira's console. Her wrist device, barely functional before, now blazed with unreadable symbols. The ship's whisper turned into a scream, a raw, agonized wail that made their ears ring. Mira stared at her console, stunned. I didn't do anything. Daniel's eyes narrowed. No, but something else did. The walls shuddered, flickering between solid metal and something else, something far older than any civilization they knew. Jonas' voice was tight. Tell me that means what I think it means. Daniel exhaled. I think we just found out why this ship was abandoned. A new passage opened before them, leading directly to the docking bay. Their shuttle was still there, untouched, as if the ship itself was forcing them to leave. Mira hesitated. It's letting us go. Daniel's gut told him otherwise. No, It's warning us. They sprinted toward the shuttle, engines already warming up as Tessa's voice came through, loud and clear. Get in. Now. The moment the hatch sealed behind them, the ship's whisper vanished. As they pulled away, the alien vessel hung there, silent, waiting. Jonas let out a shaky breath. What the hell just happened? Daniel watched as the once dead ship stirred, glowing symbols flaring across its hull. We didn't just wake it up, he said. We set it free. The ship loomed in the darkness of space, no longer just a wreck, but something alive, something aware. The glowing symbols that had once flickered weakly now pulsed with a steady, ominous rhythm. Daniel and his crew sat in silence aboard their shuttle, watching from a distance. No one spoke. No one breathed too loudly. Then Tessa broke the silence. Tell me I'm seeing things, because that ship is moving. Jonas swore. It's not just moving. It's changing. As they watched, the ship's shattered hull repaired itself, metal bending and reshaping as if guided by an unseen force. The energy coursing through it grew brighter, veins of crimson light running along its surface. Mira clutched her console. That ship wasn't dead. It was wounded, and now it's healing. Daniel's mind raced. They had woken something. Something ancient. Something powerful. Tessa's voice crackled over the comms. We need to leave. Now. But before Daniel could give the order, the alien vessel turned toward them. A deep hum vibrated through the shuttle, rattling every system, every circuit. The ship was reaching out, scanning them, maybe even trying to communicate. Jonas tensed. If that thing sees us as a threat, we're dead. Mira shook her head. No, it's not attacking. It's waiting. The ship stopped moving. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, a pulse of data flooded Mira's console. Strings of unreadable symbols poured across the screen, faster than any human could process. The alien ship was transmitting something. Daniel leaned over her shoulder. Can you translate? Mira's fingers flew over the interface. It's not a language. It's schematics, designs, blueprints. Jonas frowned. For what? Mira's breath caught as she decoded the final lines of data. For itself, she whispered. It's giving us the knowledge to rebuild it. Daniel stared at the pulsing ship outside the window. They hadn't just woken an ancient weapon. It had chosen them. The alien ship hovered in the void, its once ruined form now restored, pulsating with a terrifying energy. Daniel and his crew sat frozen, watching as the data continued to flood Mira's console. The schematics, the blueprints, it was giving them everything. Jonas exhaled sharply. This thing wants us to rebuild it. Why? Mira's fingers trembled as she scrolled through the endless lines of alien code. It's not just a ship, she murmured. It's a war machine. Daniel's stomach tightened. It made sense. The way the ship had responded to them. The way it had waited before revealing itself. It wasn't acting like a stranded wreck. It was testing them, choosing them. Tessa's voice crackled through the comms. Guys, we have a problem. Daniel turned to the viewport and felt his blood run cold. Two massive warships had just dropped out of FTL, their hulls marked with the insignia of the Voral Dominion, one of the most feared empires in the galaxy. Jonas swore under his breath. Of course, someone else was looking for this thing. The Voral ships wasted no time. Energy signatures flared as their weapons locked onto the alien vessel. Mira's console flashed. The ship had sent its final transmission. She read the words aloud, voice barely above a whisper. They will take me. They will use me. I will burn the stars. Choose. Daniel clenched his fists. The ship was giving them a choice. Take its knowledge and power for themselves, or let it fall into enemy hands. Tessa's voice was urgent. Whatever we're gonna do, we have to do it now. Jonas turned to Daniel. We can't let the Voral get this thing. Mira's gaze was firm. We have the schematics. We can rebuild it. The alien ship's hull pulsed one last time, as if waiting for their answer. Daniel took a deep breath. We take the data and run, but we'll be back. We'll build something even stronger. The decision was made. As their shuttle jumped to FTL, the last thing they saw was the alien vessel turning to face the Voral ships and unleashing its full power.